Alright, so I'm making crokinole boards for some guys at work, and there's a ton of videos online of how to do it. They're very, very helpful. The thing that I did not think was very helpful is usually when it comes to making the discs, most everyone says they just buy them, and I've bought some discs. They're amazing. I love them, but I wanted to try to make some. The problem is they're rounded, and I didn't want to lose a finger with a router. And so I'm just going to show you my process that I've learned of how to make crokinole discs, and I hope this helps. So here's the store-bought crokinole disc that I got. I got it from a guy offline that it was a pretty reasonable price, and they slide really nice. But like I said, I wanted to be able to figure out how to do one on my own. It is 1 1/4 inch. And so what I've done, well, I've dropped that one, but what I've done is I went and I've got 1 1/4 inch. There we go. What I did is I went and I got just 1 1/4 inch oak dowel from, this one's from Home Depot, Lowe's, anything like that. I've set up my saw there. From where the blade will come down to this stop is the distance of the blade, and so I'll just make a couple cuts and go from there. Alright, so as you can see, there we go. As you can see, we've got just a, this was just 36 inches, that's how much that rod was. And we've just cut them. That's going to be the finished product. So the problem again was I needed to round them off. And I didn't want to get my fingers down by the router bit because I like my fingers. What I did in the past, let me just grab. What I did in the past is I had just the stick or the rod before I cut it, and I would round one edge, and then I would cut that edge, and then I would come back and I would round another edge and cut it. That worked alright for having just one edge rounded. In fact, my first discs were like that. They just had one. Ooh. They just had one edge rounded. But this is the way that I found to do it. So what I'm going to do is I've made, again, this is 1 1/4. And so I took a bit and I drilled a hole through just a scrap piece of wood. So I'll put that down, and then I'll have that go over, and that's how I bring it up to the router. This is a 1/8 round over bit router. So once I got to there, I realized I needed to still be able to turn it without getting my fingers down by it. So I went to my local Ace and told them what I was doing. They looked at me kind of crazy, but here's what I came up with. So this is just a ratchet extension for a one of the smaller sizes. This is a 1/4 inch cover that goes on like a chair foot, you know. And so what I've done is I've had some sticky putty, and I've just kind of put it on it. Also, what I did is when I first did it, sorry about the focusing. When I first did it, I noticed that it spun too much. It wasn't tight enough. And so I took a lot of this putty and I just shoved it down in there, and then I put it over the extension again, over the ratchet extension. And that seemed to have worked really good. And so now I just, every once in a while, I'll kind of heat this up and make sure that it's still sticky. And I'll show you how I did it. The other thing that I've done is when I made this hole, I then took a Dremel and just sanded it just a little, so there's just a little bit of play there. I didn't want it to be so tight that there wasn't any play. And so I'll show you the process. All right, that's before, and that's after.